Chapter 1. Luis's assistant was pregnant. And he brought her home. Roxana likes peace and quiet. From now on, she'll be living here. She really likes your cooking. So you'll be in charge of her 3 meals a day. When I didn't respond, he gave a mocking smile. Didn't you want money? Here's 1 million. Take care of Roxana during her postpartum recovery. He knew I was in desperate need of money, yet still chose to humiliate me this way. But I really did need the money. So I agreed. After all, I had no intention of continuing as his wife. Luis thought I was up to some trick again. He warned me, "You'd better not try anything shady." I cut him off. "The guest room is too small. She can stay in the master bedroom." He was about to say something, but the girl cut in. "Thank you for your trouble, sister." I looked at her and smiled. "Don't call me sister. This isn't ancient times where there's a main wife and a concubine. Just call me Selena." Luis shot me an annoyed glare. "Enough, Selena. Don't be so unpleasant. Roxana is just being polite." Then he sneered. "The one who's not loved is the real third party." Oh, so in his eyes, I was the mistress. I swallowed the bitterness and laughed at myself. It took me half an hour to clean up the master bedroom. Everything in it was something we had carefully chosen together, back when I loved him the most. Luis looked at the stuffed animals scattered all over the floor. His expression unreadable. He had brought those back from abroad, one by one. Knowing I loved them, now they were all tossed aside, just like all the years of my love for him. That girl, Roxana, pointed at the candlelight dinner on the table, and exclaimed, "Did you tell her I wanted steak?" She clung to his arm and cooed, "You're so thoughtful, always paying attention, always following through." But that dinner was something I had made myself, to celebrate our 6th wedding anniversary. I laughed. How ironic. While I was filled with joy and preparing to celebrate 6 years with him, he had brought another woman into our home. Luis gently patted her head, then turned to me and said, "Roxana rarely enjoys anything. Go heat it up for her." Then he gave me a half smile. "If you want money, you know what to do." Thinking of my brother still in the ICU, I swallowed the bitterness in my throat. Compared to dignity, I really did need the money. In the past, I would have cried in secret, but this time, I felt relieved, because at this moment, 29-year-old Selena had finally extinguished all her love for Luis. Chapter 2. Roxana was very pleased with the dinner. Clinging to Luis's arm, she cooed to me, "Sister, the steak you made is so delicious. I remember your cakes were amazing too. Can I have one tomorrow?" So all the carefully prepared bentos and lovingly baked desserts I once made have now become Roxana's leisure time indulgence. I curled my lips in self-mockery. "Selena. Oh, Selena, you were so worried he wasn't eating well at the office. But little did you know, those love-packed lunches you woke at 5 a.m. to prepare had become a joke." I ignored her provocation and turned to clean up the dishes. A dull, stabbing pain shot through my wrist. Cold sweat trickled down my spine. I bit my lower lip hard and forced myself to endure it. The housemaid Monica frowned as she noticed, and quickly rushed over to take the trembling utensils from my hand. "Ma'am, your hand is injured. Let me do it." Maybe it was Monica's words that caught Luis's attention. He gave me a cold glance. "Selena, stop putting on this pathetic act." He looked at me with utter disgust, his tone full of impatience. "Get back to your room. Don't be such an eyesore." I tugged at the corner of my lips and replied, "Got it, boss." That night, my best friend called. Her voice was full of concern. "Why the hell is Luis's little canary still living in your house? I saw her post on social media. There's a crabapple blossom on that steak. That's totally your signature. You're the legal wife. Yet you're the one making soup for the mistress?" Clearly, that post was meant for everyone to see, meant to humiliate me. The mistress walks right in like she owns the place, throwing her weight around. And me, the so-called legal wife, not only couldn't lash out at her, I even had to serve her with a smile. It wasn't like I made it for her on purpose. Besides, Luis said he'd pay me 1 million to take care of her meals. What chef earns 1 million a month? It's not a bad deal, when you think about it. My best friend sighed with pity. If only I had more money. I hate seeing you suffer like this. But, didn't you tell him your brother's condition is critical? But what good would it do if I told him? I laughed bitterly. Luis married me just to take revenge, to get back at me and my family. That Luis who once loved me like his life was long gone. Luis and I, we were known in our social circle as the ultimate resentful couple. But 7 years ago, we were madly in love. Luis, at 22, was nothing like the cold, distant man he is now. Back then, he was a shy boy, whose face turned red when teased, but time washed that version of him away, leaving only a blurry silhouette. Meeting Luis had been a coincidence. He worked part-time at a cafe near campus, handsome and aloof, and I was drawn to beauty. I thought, how wasteful it would be not to make that boy mine, so I chased him for an entire summer. But he kept his distance from me like I was the plague. I refused to give up, and followed him all the way to his dorm. He sighed helplessly. Miss, I don't have time to play around. I need to make money to support my family. When he said that, he was so gentle, that indulgent, helpless look hooked me completely. I tried to tempt him. Come hang out with me, 1,000 yuan a day. That's way faster than any part-time job. He just gave me a sidelong glance. Don't mess around. He was 2 years ahead of me. The famous untouchable flower of the neighboring school. I drank so much coffee I almost puked. Yet I still didn't get his number. Later on, perhaps even the heavens had had enough and let me run into him again. At the hospital, I accidentally saved his mother. And only then did he finally look at me kindly. Later, maybe his mom also noticed I liked him. She tried, subtly and not so subtly, to match us up many times. Chapter 3. When the first snowflake of winter fell, we finally got together. Back then, we were young and naive, thinking that true love could overcome anything. But there are far too many obstacles in this world. Later, my father found out I was dating a poor boy. He ordered Luis to break up with me. Luis refused. He said he would prove himself. My father laughed and replied, I don't like poor boys. Most of them turn out to be social climbing opportunists. Because of that one sentence, Luis lost his opportunity to intern at a Fortune 500 company. Later, when Luis's mother was assaulted, he finally broke up with me, due to family arrangements. I was soon engaged to a well-matched rich young man. But as my family gradually declined, that young man saw no more use in us, and broke off the engagement. I practically lived at the company, but still couldn't stop our collapse. Just as we were about to go bankrupt, Luis came, with investment in hand. His only condition was, marry me. My naive father thought Luis was our savior. Even I believed that. Who knew? Not long after the wedding, he took control of my company. My father was kicked out of the shareholders' meeting, leaving only me and Bruno holding 10% of the shares. One woman after another was paraded in front of me. His resentment from all those years ago. This is how he repaid it. He chose to entangle us in mutual torment. That night, I slept dreamlessly. I thought I'd have insomnia. But unexpectedly, I slept well. When I went downstairs, Luis was already in the kitchen. He used to never cook. But there he was, wearing an apron. Gentle and patient. I remember when we first met. I once acted spoiled and asked him to make me breakfast. What did Luis say back then? Next time, okay? Next time I'll make it for you. I used to think he was just busy. Turns out, I just wasn't worth it. I stood there for a moment, feeling like a complete joke, just as I was about to go back upstairs. A sweet voice piped up behind me. Sister, don't you think Luis is a bit silly? He was so flustered making me breakfast, that he even wore his shoes on the wrong feet. I smiled, but didn't respond. She suddenly grabbed my arm. You saw it too. He doesn't love you. Why are you still clinging to your title as his wife? Are you pathetic? I've seen my fair share of pretentious coquettes. I grabbed her hand in return. Maybe I'm just bored? Oh right. Don't even think about faking a fall down the stairs, or slapping drama to frame me. I'm not falling for that. I patted her hand. There are way too many women who want to be Mrs. Louise. No need to rush. Chapter 4. When the first woman came to confront me. I once thought my world was ending, but all it brought was more women, and even deeper humiliation. My love for him was consumed little by little. Each time another woman appeared at our door, I should have known long ago. He didn't marry me out of love, but to humiliate me. Once, I broke him so badly that he was left in ruins. How could he ever let me go easily after that? As usual, I went to the hospital to see my brother. The good news was, he'd finally woken up, looking at Bruno, his body covered in tubes. I couldn't help it. My eyes filled with tears. They lingered there for a long while, but I forced them back down. Bruno smiled at me. Sis, I'm fine. Where's brother-in-law? Didn't he come with you? I smiled too. This is the ICU. Only one visitor allowed. When you move to a regular ward, he'll come. He looked me over again. You've lost weight. Did brother-in-law treat you badly? Then he quickly shook his head. No, he loves you so much. He'd never let you lose weight. It's because of me, right? I'm the one making you sad. I glared at him. Good that you know. Now focus on recovering. Don't worry about anything else. Bruno nodded obediently. I will. Bruno had always been frail, spending most of his life in hospitals. After marrying Louise, my only request was that he accompany me every month to visit Bruno. As long as my brother believed we were truly in love, he wouldn't feel guilty for holding me back. When I returned home from the hospital, I found my bedroom in chaos. I rushed to my desk, panicked. My treasured sketchbooks were scattered on the floor, stained with a dark yellow blotch. Roxana stood at the door, cradling her puppy with a smug smile. Sorry, sister, my puppy was too naughty. You won't be mad at me, right? I grabbed the sketchbook, glaring at her furiously. Is it the dog that doesn't understand manners? Or the human? Didn't your parents ever teach you not to enter someone else's room without permission? Roxana put on a pitiful look. I'm sorry. Louise said this is my home too. So I just took a little look around. Hearing the commotion, Louise came over. He pulled Roxana protectively behind him, his eyes sharp as knives. Selena, it's just a pile of junk. If you scare Roxana, you'll answer to me. I gave a cold laugh. He once said my paintings were worth a fortune, that he'd host a top-tier exhibition for me. Now, he called them garbage. I used my sleeve to wipe off the stain from the sketchbook. That pile of junk in your eyes is my most precious thing, Louise. Don't you remember? I spent 8 years drawing this. A flicker of guilt crossed his eyes. Gone in an instant. Then draw again. It's not like it's something valuable. Draw again? But Louise, I can't draw anymore. Not ever again. My hands, they'll never recover. I opened the sketchbook. The first page was of Louise at 22. The bright, smiling boy on the paper was now blurred, soaked in dog urine. Chapter 5. Fine then. Let's just say the heavens made the choice for me. Why cling to people and things of the past? If they're ruined, so be it. He wrapped Roxana in his arms and said, Let's go. It's dark and dirty here, bad for the baby. I touched my belly. He wouldn't let Roxana's child stay in that dim room for even 1 second. But my child has stayed here all along. A friend from our circle opened a new bar. I didn't plan to go, but my best friend kept persuading me. Come out and have some fun. I haven't seen you in ages. Thinking that once my brother is discharged, I might take him to live in South City. I agreed. I probably won't see her much again after that. Fiona sat in the booth, complaining about her new boyfriend. Great in bed, but clingy. She laughed. What about you, Selena? Luis is surrounded by women all day. And you're still living like a widow for him? I lifted my glass and took a sip. How could that be? As I looked up, I met Luis's gaze. His eyes were sharp as blades, locked on me with unfathomable intensity. The chill in them cutting into my skin when he saw me looking back. He sneered, "Selena, I don't like disobedient women. This 1 million, even if you get on your knees and beg, I won't give it to you." Then he turned and walked away with Roxana on his arm. He knew I needed money, and still used it, again and again, as a weapon against me, all for one simple sentence. How could that be? I took a deep breath. Now wasn't the time to be impulsive. I stepped forward to confront him, but the bodyguard behind him blocked me. The second floor has been booked entirely by Mr. Luis. Unrelated guests. Please stay out. Roxana turned back, smirking at me with a lifted brow. Then she sent me a message. "So what if you're the legal wife? I've got plenty of ways to humiliate you." Luis, bringing Roxana so publicly, made his meaning clear. This wife in name only instantly became the center of everyone's gossip. From the next table, people laughed loudly. How does she even have the face to show up? Her husband's upstairs flaunting his mistress, and she's downstairs watching them be lovey-dovey. Ha ha ha. Isn't she supposed to be noble? I heard she's even taking care of the mistress during her postpartum period. What a joke. Selena used to act so high and mighty. If I were her, I wouldn't even leave the house. Fiona shot to her feet. What the hell did you just say? Want me to rip your mouth off? I pulled her back. We finally get to see each other. No need to waste it on people like them. But they weren't wrong. I was pathetic, because we made too much of a scene. The bar owner came to ask us to leave. He looked at me awkwardly and whispered, "Mr. Luis said he doesn't like loud noise." "I'm sorry, madam." Fiona was furious. She shouted, "Luis, you've gone too far." And we were kicked out of the bar. Fiona pointed at the owner and yelled, "You just wait." The owner, a former middle school classmate, smiled bitterly. "Sis, don't make it hard on me. Who in Beijing dares to offend Luis? I'm just trying to survive here. How about this? You can drink here for free from now on. Let me save some face." We hadn't even gone far when we heard the bartender announce, "Tonight, all expenses are covered by Mr. Luis. Minimum spending, 1 million. The crowd cheered. I clenched my fists. He'd rather spend 1 million on strangers than give it to me, wiping away the tear at the corner of my eye. I told Fiona, "Fiona, you go ahead. I've got something to do." Fiona looked at me, worried. "Selena, don't do anything stupid. He's not worth it." I smiled. "Of course not. I'm going to find someone." Chapter 6. An old nemesis. The nemesis arrived quickly, driving an outrageously flashy, modified G-Wagon, wearing sunglasses. He leaned against the car window and waved at me. I got in and couldn't help but complain. "Wearing sunglasses at night, are you sick?" He took off his shades and shushed me. "Spill it, princess. What do you want from me?" "Lend me 1 million. The car screeched to a halt. "What do you need that much money for?" "Don't ask. Just tell me, yes or no. I'll agree to whatever condition you want." He laughed, loud and cocky. "I've finally lived to see the day you begged me. Feels damn good to finally hold the upper hand." As if afraid I'd change my mind, he transferred the money to my account that same night. As for his conditions, he hadn't named them yet. He said he wanted time to think about how to make me suffer, but I didn't have the luxury to care. My brother's condition was urgent. The doctor said surgery had to happen immediately. When I returned home, Luis and Roxana were already back. Luis sat in the living room, playing with a lighter, his eyes glaring at me, cold as ice. "Out this late, were you off with your little lover?" I ignored him and started upstairs. But suddenly, he called out, "Selena, if you won't behave, don't blame me for being ruthless." I stopped on the staircase, looked down at him from above. "Luis, let's get a divorce." Luis, always composed and self-assured, snapped. He hurled the glass beside him. "Selena, you can forget about divorcing me in this lifetime." I gave him a mocking glance, half smiling. Then your child will just be a bastard in the shadows. With that, I turned and walked up. How did Luis and I become like this? It seemed to start when I refused to have a child with him. In the early years of marriage, Luis would come home late and leave early, though his words were venomous. His actions showed care, but when he brought up having a child, I rejected him without hesitation. The gentle smile he always wore vanished, replaced by a chilling cold across his face. Selena, can't forget that useless ex-fiancé of yours? You think you're the only one I could want? After that, he stopped coming home at night, drowning in women, alcohol, and indulgence. That night, a warm body pressed down on me. He kissed me messily and hungrily. My clothes were yanked off with force. I pushed him away. Your precious Roxana is sleeping downstairs. Aren't you afraid of breaking her heart? Shut up. A phone buzzed, shattering the silence. Frowning, he swiped to reject, but the moment he saw the caller ID, his body froze. Then slowly, he lifted the phone to his ear. Luis, where are you? My stomach, it hurt so much. Luis shoved me aside. His voice returned to its usual calm. Baby, don't cry. I'm coming now. Chapter 7. At midnight, the villa was suddenly as bright as day. Luis held Roxana tightly as he rushed to the hospital in a panic. I stood quietly upstairs, watching everything. Luis really did care about this child. He used to hold me with the same anticipation on his face. Sighing, baby, I really want a child of our own. That kind of love felt like something from a century ago, so distant it felt foreign now. In the morning, I received a call from Luis. Roxana's got no appetite. I remember your seafood porridge tastes good. Make a bowl and bring it over. I'll forget about what happened yesterday. I don't have time. Luis's tone dropped. Selena, I'm warning you. Before he could finish, I hung up. Bruno was having surgery today. I had no time for his drama. Who knew? I ran into Luis again while paying the hospital fees. He was standing at the entrance, on a call, eyes sharp and cold. The moment he saw me, he hung up and yanked me over. Selena, where's the porridge? I brushed him off, annoyed. I told you, I don't have time. He sneered. No time to make porridge, but plenty of time to meet another man? Huh, Selena, growing some wings? I laughed in anger. And what's it got to do with you? Didn't I say I wanted a divorce? Clinging to someone who doesn't love you, Luis. Don't you find yourself pathetic? Luis's eyes turned red with rage. He slapped me hard. Selena, we're still married, and you're already looking to cheat? Don't force me to lock you up. Covering my stinging cheek, I looked at him with disgust. You really look like a stray dog nobody wants. Before he could respond, I turned and left, straight to the 12th floor. In the mirror, the bright red handprint stung my eyes. I quickly pulled out a mask and put it on. I didn't want Bruno to see such a humiliating mark. I held Bruno's hand and said a few blessings, then watched him enter the operating room. Thankfully, the surgery was a success. When I heard those 4 words, I couldn't hold back. I burst into tears. As long as Bruno was okay. Once he recovered, I'd take him to the south. I'd work hard, earn money, take care of him, as long as he stayed alive and well. These past few days, I practically lived at the hospital. I didn't care about anything happening at Luis's house. Thankfully, Bruno recovered well and was soon moved to a general ward. I finally had time to go home. I had lived in that house for 6 years, and all I could take with me fit in one suitcase. Monica told me Luis had been at the hospital these days, caring for Roxana. He hadn't returned home. I finally let out a breath of relief. Monica held my hand and sighed. Ma'am, are you planning to leave? I was surprised. How did you know? That's how it always goes in novels. You can go, ma'am. I won't tell anyone. I smiled and said goodbye to Monica, leaving without the slightest attachment from the house I had lived in for 6 years. Just as I returned to the hospital, I saw the news. Luis had reorganized the group. He thought such tricks could crush me. Such desperate little moves were truly laughable. As long as Bruno was okay, I didn't care about anything else. At the hospital, I was feeding Bruno some porridge. when he looked like he had something to say. You and brother-in-law aren't doing well, are you? I paused. You noticed? Your eyes were red that day, and you wore a mask. You clearly didn't want me to see. He bullied you, didn't he? I went quiet for a moment. Bruno, once you get better, let's move south. Bruno nodded obediently. Okay, I'm sick of this city anyway. Sis, I want to visit Mom's hometown, see where she grew up. Of course I agreed. We dreamed about the future together. Once he got better, we'd go to Suzhou. Chapter 8. To see Suzhou in March, misty rain and southern spring. Who would have thought that night Bruno's illness would relapse? I rushed to find his attending physician, only to be told that Dr. Hudson, the best surgeon for his condition, had been called away by Luis, because his mistress wasn't feeling well, and needed him on standby. I broke down. Even if she's giving birth, she doesn't need the best surgeon, does she? The attending doctor looked just as helpless. He made several calls, but all were rejected. I decided to find Luis, even if I had to beg him. I would bring that Dr. Hudson back. I ran to the third floor, only to be told that Luis and Roxana had already gone home. Frantic, I called Luis again and again, but a woman answered. She laughed brightly. Sister, did you need something from Luis? Where's Dr. Hudson? The doctor, she chuckled. I heard you needed him, so I called him over. He's asleep downstairs, drunk. He probably won't be getting up anytime soon. The moment she finished speaking, the operating room doors opened. The attending physician looked at me with pity. Family member, we did everything we could. The phone slipped from my hand, and Roxana's sweet voice drifted out. Sister, whatever you want, I'll take it. One by one, consciousness slipped away. The world before my eyes tore apart, like a strip of black silk, and I plunged into endless darkness. I dreamed again. In the dream, Luis knelt before me, the once proud man, now begging humbly, Selena, please don't break up with me. I'll work hard to make money. Just give me a little more time. I had flung his hand away mercilessly back then. Luis, it was just for fun. You took it seriously? I'd never marry a poor boy. When I woke, Luis was holding my hand. For a moment, I couldn't tell if I was still dreaming. I sighed. Luis, didn't you say you'd make me happy? You liar. Luis's expression was cold as frost, his long fingers gripping tightly, trapping the faint warmth of my palm. Lowering his gaze, his eyelashes trembled. Selena, I'm sorry. I didn't know about your brother, so it wasn't a dream. My eyes sharpened like blades of ice. Hatred surged up, burning away every trace of sweetness that had once existed. All that passion turned to shards of frozen glass, piercing through my chest. Luis, my brother was still so young. He had a chance to live. You took that from him. I will never forgive you, not in this life. Luis stood and pulled me tightly into his arms. The pain in his eyes seemed genuine. I'm sorry. Selena, I know you're hurting, but for the baby's sake, please take care of yourself. His words calmed me, because I realized he knew. His concern wasn't really for me, but for the child. I laughed bitterly, pushing him away. I said, Luis, get out. I don't want to see you. Afraid of upsetting me. He stayed far away, barely daring to breathe. He kept watch over me for 3 days straight, refusing every phone call. Roxana, unable to reach him, sent me a stream of furious messages. I read them coldly. Bitch, Luis doesn't love you. Don't think you can trap him with a baby. Bitch, you'll never beat me. I looked at the screen and smiled. Roxana, don't let me down. I booked a flight to the southern city for 3 days later. All I had to do was wait for Luis to leave. Chapter 9. For the next few days, Luis came to see me every day. Sometimes he brought soup he had made himself. Sometimes, a bouquet of my favorite Juliet roses. I refused them all, but he didn't give up, changing tactics every day. The more he did, the more disgusted I felt. So I decided to provoke Roxana. Your Luis has been keeping vigil by my side day and night. What should I do? It's annoying. He said he wanted to take me out for a walk, but I really don't feel like going. Your Luis, does he really love you as much as you say? As expected, Roxana fell right into my trap. She flooded me with insults. I turned off my phone, waiting for the show to begin, unable to reach Luis. She'd surely find another way to get his attention. Sure enough, that evening, Luis's phone rang. I saw him pinch his brow in irritation. Before reluctantly answering, it was Monica's voice. Sir, Miss Roxana is bleeding. It might be premature labor. Please come back right away. Just as I thought, Luis hung up, grabbed his coat, and rushed out. Halfway to the door, he turned back. Selena, I'll have Monica look after you. Roxana's bleeding. He rubbed his temples. Once I've handled things with her, I'll come back to check on you and the baby. I said nothing. As soon as he left, I contacted Ryan. Miss, you really don't hold back with me. First you want money. Now you want a person. I spoke casually. You'll have plenty of chances to collect interest later. What's the rush? Didn't you always want control of the family business? I'll help you. Now I had nothing left, except this face, which I could still use as a weapon. Ryan's lazy grin vanished. His tone turned serious. Selena, what are you planning? I tilted my head, thinking absently. What was I planning? To be your brother's mistress. Maybe, worst case, that's at least $1 million a year, right? Laughter echoed from the other end of the line. Ryan sighed and muttered, cut it out. My brother's here. I smiled indifferently. Selena, had never had any dignity in front of Dominic anyway. Ryan's voice grew scolding in my ear. Selena, I haven't even asked you to pay back the money yet. What's the rush? He must have moved somewhere more private, because his tone lowered into a warning. Don't pull any crazy stunts. Got it? My big brother isn't someone you can mess with. Just a joke. Anyway, thanks, Ryan. My thank you made him stutter. Why, you're crazy. You've never said thank you to me. I didn't answer. We'd known each other nearly 30 years. And he was right. I'd never once thanked him. I had always thought myself skilled at navigating social circles, building a network of so-called friends, but only now, trapped in the mud, did I realize the only person I could ask for help without shame was him. I quickly arranged Bruno's hospitalization and got into the car Ryan had sent, the SIM card I'd used for 10 years. I tossed it into the trash. Finally, I was free. Luis, I owe you nothing now. The first thing I did after arriving in the southern city was start selling my jewelry. That's when I noticed a big rock Bruno had given me still in the box, mixed in with the gems. It looked like one of those cheap 9.99 yuan online trinkets. Not worth anything, but it was from Bruno. After all, I reached out to pick it up. But as I did, it knocked against the corner of the table. The stone rolled beneath the floor lamp, a faint green light shimmering through it. Then I remembered what Bruno had said. If you ever run out of money, take this out. Holding the stone, tears I'd held back finally fell. I could still see Bruno's smug face back then, as he tossed the stone onto my desk. Happy birthday, Selena. Sorry, I didn't have time. Here's a rock. I'd been furious, flinging it aside. Bruno, I'm your sister, and you're giving me this piece of junk? Turns out, that worthless rock was actually a piece of jadeite rough. It sold for $8 million in the end, enough to secure my future. I used part of it to repay Ryan's $1 million. And with the rest, I finally had the capital to start over. Chapter 10. Luis's residence. Capital City. Luis rushed back to the villa as soon as he got the call. Roxana was sitting on the sofa eating grapes, while a strange elderly woman knelt at her feet, massaging them. Perhaps the pressure wasn't right. Roxana kicked her away in annoyance. Do you even know how to serve people, old woman? The woman stood up, flustered. I'm sorry. I'll do better next time. Please let me see Selena. I haven't seen her in so long. When Luis walked in, this was the scene before him. His mother, who should have been resting in a top-tier nursing home, kneeling at Roxana's feet, begging humbly to see Selena. Luis's eyes reddened in fury. "Mom, what are you doing?" He rushed forward, pulling his mother up and holding her protectively in his arms. After the incident years ago, his mother had survived, but suffered from dementia. She had forgotten Luis, forgotten the past, only remembering Selena. In her memory, Selena was her real family. Roxana froze at Luis's sudden entrance, grapes scattering across the floor. "Luis, what are you talking about? Isn't she the nanny who came to interview?" Luis shot her a cold glare. "Roxana, this is the bleeding you were talking about?" Roxana panicked. "Weren't you with Selena on vacation? How did you?" Then it hit her. That woman, Selena, was setting her up. "Luis, listen to me." But Luis didn't give her a chance. "Shut up. If anything happens to my mother, I'll never forgive you." His mother suddenly pushed him away. "Who are you? Where's Selena? I want to see Selena." Tears welled in Luis's eyes. "Mom, it's me, your son." "You liar. Selena's the one who always visits me. She brings me food and treats." Only then did Luis realize Selena had been visiting his mother every month, while he, her son, hadn't even spent half as much time with her. Guilt crept in all his efforts to expand his business empire. He had neglected his mother completely, seeing her confused and frail. Luis tried a softer approach. "Selena is my wife, Mom. She's in the hospital right now. When she's better, I'll take you to see her, okay?" The old lady seemed to calm down a little. "What happened to her? She hasn't come to see me in days. Is she hurt?" Luis soothed her gently. "She's expecting a baby. The pregnancy is unstable, so she's been hospitalized." Hearing that, his mother clapped her hands with joy. Once she was calm, Luis finally had a moment to call his secretary. "Go bring Madam home. My mother wants to see her." Then he hung up. An hour later, the secretary called back. "Sir, Madam has been discharged." Luis was unconcerned. "If she's out of the hospital, she'll come home on her own." The secretary hesitated. "Sir, Madam's phone has been switched off. It seems she's not coming back." Luis sneered. "She's an orphan. If she's not coming home, where else can she go?" The secretary wanted to say more, but Luis cut him off. "Enough. Go do something useful. I'll handle this." The man had no choice but to obey. Luis hadn't slept well these past few days. Selena hadn't come back since her discharge. Even her best friend didn't know where she'd gone, suppressing the growing unease in his chest. Luis tried calling her again. Each time, the same message. "The number you have dialed is temporarily unavailable." Selena had vanished, as if from the face of the earth. Returning home, Luis wandered into her bedroom on impulse, and saw that every trace of her was gone. Chapter 11. So, she had planned her departure long ago. Standing in the doorway of that dim room, Luis stared blankly. Selena and the child, they had lived here? In this cramped, lightless place? A craving for a cigarette hit him. He searched his pockets, but found none. Furious, he called his secretary. "What the hell are you useless people doing? You can't even find one defenseless woman?" The secretary sounded helpless. "I'm sorry, sir. Madam's trail has been completely erased. Whoever helped her must have serious influence in the capital." Luis let out a cold laugh. Selena never had any real friends. Who would help her? He thought hard. Then one name flashed in his mind. Could it be him? Then he shook his head. No, Ryan doesn't have that kind of power. Unless... Dominic. Impossible. Dominic wouldn't help her. Just then, Roxana's name flashed on his screen. Luis hung up immediately. After the last incident, he had thrown her out without hesitation. A clear sign he wanted to cut all ties. But she kept calling. Over and over. Until Luis finally answered in irritation. "You'd better have a good reason." Roxana's voice trembled with sobs. "Luis, my stomach hurts. Please, can you come? If your stomach hurts, call a doctor. Why bother me?" "Luis, It's your baby. Luis sneered. Exactly. It's because it's my baby that you're still allowed to call me. Otherwise, you'd have been blocked long ago. He hung up without mercy. Right now, the only thing that mattered was finding Selena, Southern City. As for the capital, I neither knew nor cared. I opened a cafe in the south. Spent my free time sitting by the lake under the sun. After work, I went fishing with my coworkers. Life was peaceful. Ryan somehow managed to find me. The young master had lost weight. When he saw me, tears flashed in his eyes. You really are heartless. Used me, then threw me away. If it weren't for your payment info giving you away, I'd never have found you. What? Were you planning to never see me again? His voice trembled, eyes reddening. I smiled at him. Ryan, I'm not a good person. Don't come near me. He gave a low, bitter laugh. Isn't it a bit late for that now? How could I not know that? But people only grow soft-hearted once they have money. Ryan came to my cafe every day. Sometimes, he'd talk about Luis. He said Luis was searching for me everywhere, almost turning the whole capital upside down. And Roxana, desperate to win Luis back, had resorted to self-harm, covering herself in wounds. Every time I heard these stories, I simply smiled. Old people, old affairs, none of it concerned me anymore. Ryan noticed my calm expression and grinned playfully. Since he's an old flame already, why not consider me the new one? I smiled but said nothing. Luis had approached me back then for revenge. So what about Ryan? What did he want from me? I hadn't expected Ryan's elder brother to come see me. In my mind, Dominic had always been a cold, ascetic man, disciplined, restrained, expressionless. This time was no exception. Wearing his gold-rimmed glasses, he said mildly, "Miss Selena, may I have a word with you?" I smiled politely. Of course you may. From what Ryan had told me, even my successful hiding owed something to his brother's discreet help. People liked to gossip that the eldest young master had secretly loved me for 10 years. I always brushed it off as a joke, even teased Ryan about it in private. Dominic was the legitimate son of the old master and his first wife, raised since childhood to be the heir. By all logic, he and I should have belonged to different worlds. But fate has its strange tricks. His maternal grandfather was a proud man who loved to show off his apprentice. And I happened to be that apprentice. Because of that, I'd heard quite a few of Dominic's embarrassing stories over the years. I knew of him, but we'd barely ever interacted. So I guessed his visit must have something to do with Ryan. I heard you're planning to get a divorce. I saw no reason to hide it. Yes. Dominic's tone was sincere. I also heard Miss Selena once said she wanted to be my canary. I wonder, does that offer still stand? Even with my thick skin. His question made me flush with embarrassment. My awkward reaction seemed to amuse him. Of course. I didn't mean I actually want you to be my mistress. If possible, I'd like you to be my girlfriend. If Miss Selena is thinking about finding someone, perhaps consider me. My private life is clean. No scandals. And after marriage, all my assets would be under your name. All I heard was that one line. All my assets would be under your name. Then tell me, sir, what do you get out of this? I'm a divorced woman. Once pregnant. Nothing particularly special about me. What could possibly attract you? It's a long story. The rumors in the circle that I like you are true. His tone stayed calm, but the flicker of regret in his eyes gave him away. I felt suddenly lost. I'm sorry. I'm not a good person, so I can't. He cut me off. And what makes Miss Selena think I'm a good person? Being with you is simply fulfilling an old obsession. If one day it fades, and you wish to end it, I won't stop you. I could only give a half-hearted smile. All right then. I'll think about what you said, seriously. Chapter 12. Luis found me 3 months later. He was standing downstairs in front of my apartment, holding the imperial green jade bracelet I had once dreamed of owning. His eyes were tired, but when he saw me, they still reddened with emotion. Selena. I'm sorry. I came too late. I looked at him coldly. Sir, please mind your manners. He didn't seem to understand. Stubbornly insisting. Selena, stop this. Come home with me, no matter what. The only wife I'll ever acknowledge is you. I only felt disgust. Didn't you see the divorce papers I sent you? Luis gave a cold laugh. I don't agree to the divorce. You can't divorce me. I'll get rid of Roxana. Don't worry. No one will bother you or the baby again. I sneered. What baby? Your baby's already gone, a biochemical miscarriage. He stared at my abdomen in disbelief. 3 months had passed, and my belly was still flat. He stepped back, dazed. How could that be? I shoved him hard. Get out. Don't come near me again. Luis seemed unable to accept the loss of the child. He stood there for a long time. When the rain began to pour, he still didn't leave. He stayed out in the storm all night. And the next morning, he appeared before me again. Selena, we can still have children, as long as you behave. We'll have many, many more. I rolled my eyes. Oh, I'll have many children, just not with you. You don't have to agree to the divorce. I'll file for it in court. It was only then Luis realized I meant it. Panic filled his eyes. Selena, don't leave me. You promised me, you said you'd stay with me for life. Tears flickered briefly in my eyes. But I looked straight at him and smiled faintly. The Selena who loved you for half her life. You already lost her long ago. I shut the door in his face. Luis didn't give up. Every day he loitered outside my cafe. He filled the place with flowers. Lined the counter with everything I had once said I liked. I found it ironic. So, he had known all along. He just hadn't wanted to give those things to the me who loved him. I threw everything straight into the trash. The Selena of today can buy whatever she wants herself. Because of his constant harassment, I stopped going to the cafe altogether. Ryan noticed and kindly took me in. I didn't refuse. I knew this was the only way Luis would finally give up. One afternoon, while Ryan and I were out shopping, Luis appeared behind me. His face dark and twisted. Selena, so this is why you wanted a divorce? Because you found yourself a spare tire? I raised an eyebrow. Glancing at him indifferently, he stepped forward to grab me. But Ryan pushed him back. Luis, what right do you have to control her? You can fool around with whoever you want. But she can't have a boyfriend? Pain flashed in Luis's eyes. All I ever wanted was a child. If I'd known you were pregnant, I never would have done this. In the end, it's all your fault. You refused to get pregnant. You refused to have my child. What did I do wrong? I cut him off without mercy. The doctor said it years ago. Your sperm quality's poor. Even if I did get pregnant, the baby wouldn't survive. I only lied and said I didn't want children because I didn't want to upset you. But the doctor was right. Even if I did get pregnant, the baby wouldn't have survived. Luis stared at me, eyes wide with disbelief. That's impossible. I sneered. Oh, really? Then how do you explain Roxana's constant bleeding? And my own child, already gone. Luis, this is your retribution. Luis's eyes turned bloodshot as he grabbed my hand tightly. You're lying to me, aren't you? Lying? I only regret not telling you the truth sooner. And your mother, if it hadn't been for me begging my father to save her, would she still be standing here today? I agreed to that marriage alliance to save her. And the funniest thing is, you took revenge on my family because of it. And Bruno? What did he ever do wrong? He could have seen a brighter world. But you and Roxana destroyed that. Tears streamed down my face. I had waited so long for this day. Luis, every single day I thought about it. How to make you hurt more. How to make your life even more miserable. Luis looked at me in pain. Selena. I'm sorry. He tried to come closer. But the police, who had just arrived, pulled him back. I smiled as I watched him. Don't bother apologizing. Your company evaded taxes. You made illegal deals. And violated trade regulations. I teamed up with your secretary and reported you. Luis, you'd better spend some time in a cell reflecting on yourself. Luis tried to speak again. But the police pushed his head down and led him away. Ryan stood nearby, smiling lazily. As expected of you, Selena. I gave him a faint, knowing smile. If he hadn't been greedy for Luis's company shares, he never would have lent me that money, or helped me make my comeback. Luis won't be getting out anytime soon. Do whatever you want with his company, but my family's business belongs to me. Ryan chuckled. Of course, with Luis's company in hand, I finally have enough capital to compete with my dear big brother. Thanks, my mortal enemy. Ryan was a master of disguise, but after so many years as rivals, we knew each other too well. I could never be fooled by a few pretty words. We were simply using each other. Later, I heard that Luis had escaped. While under investigation, he couldn't accept the thought of spending the rest of his life in prison, so he ran. Chapter 13. When I heard the news, I could only find it funny. The once arrogant, all-powerful CEO had finally met his downfall. That day, I was packing up my things when I suddenly saw Luis standing behind me, his expression utterly deranged. Selena, come abroad with me. Let's live a life that belongs only to the two of us. I quietly took a step back. And what about your mother? A flash of pain crossed his eyes. I've chosen the most expensive nursing home for her. Once things settle down, I'll bring her with me. I was about to speak again, but before I could, everything went dark. He had kidnapped me. Inside, I prayed frantically that someone would realize I'd gone missing and report this lunatic to the police. Unfortunately, by the time the car reached the docks, I still hadn't heard a single siren. Disheartened, I turned my head, and in the rearview mirror, a black SUV suddenly appeared. I stared at the mirror, my heart racing. It was Dominic. Before I could figure out his hand signal, his car sped forward and rammed straight into Luis's rear bumper. Our car lurched violently. Luis slammed on the accelerator, his eyes wild, completely unhinged. Then, he suddenly swerved into the opposite lane, driving straight into oncoming traffic. A massive truck appeared out of nowhere, barreling toward us. Luis couldn't avoid it in time. The car spun out and crashed hard into the roadside greenery. In that final moment, he unbuckled his seatbelt and threw his arms around me, shielding me with his body. I didn't understand why he did it. I just watched as blood poured from his mouth in great gushes. He looked at me for a long time and suddenly smiled. Outside, police sirens screamed. Dominic was pounding frantically on the car window, and through the chaos, I heard one last sentence. Selena, I've let you go. Luis was dead. As his legal wife, I was forced to return and take control of the situation. The process wasn't smooth, but the outcome was the same. When I returned to the villa, Roxana was still waiting outside. The moment she saw my car, she hurried toward me. Out of sheer courtesy, I stopped. Roxana frowned when she saw me. Why are you here? Where's Luis? I glanced at her. Her once swollen belly was now flat, so the baby was gone. Don't you read the news? Your Luis is dead. From the very beginning, I'd never planned to actually divorce him. My so-called divorce was just a trick to make him drop his guard, so I could drag him down completely. Once he was in prison, everything he owned would be mine. I wanted to spend his money, live in his house, and torment the woman he had once treated like a treasure. But unfortunately, Luis was dead. He'd never get to see my revenge. Roxana's face twisted in horror. You're lying. Luis can't be. She fumbled for her phone, checked the news, and turned deathly pale. Collapsing to the ground, I gave her a cold look. Don't be too sad. Your own karma's waiting for you. Back in university, Roxana had bullied a girl so viciously that she jumped off a building to dig up the evidence. I'd spent quite a lot of money. In the end, she was sentenced to 3 years for campus bullying, and when she gets out, I've got an even bigger surprise waiting for her. As for me, I was busy rebuilding the company. Dominic's request to start a relationship, I neither accepted nor rejected it. I don't know what the future will bring. For now, I just want to make money.